Okay. Great, then let's just get started. Okay.
Jaspreet, I just wanna tell you before we start. I should have tell you
Yeah.
yesterday itself.
Yeah.
I do not have any programming knowledge. I mean to say I'm a brand new for this field. Okay, I mean to
Okay.
say at least for programming area. I do have a testing experience more than 14, 14 years, I would say, but
Okay.
I never been on the programming side. I just wanna. Uh, this is what my expectation from this class.
Okay, no problem. Don't worry about it. As soon as we'll move further and the concepts of Python will come along, I'll be discussing
Mhm.
them first and then I'll be moving with the WebDriver part. Okay?
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yesterday we have done the installation part, the basic installations that all were required to start with. So, we have the language with us and the IDE that where we have to start, right? So, now what we will be doing today, we'll be taking a look at that what is the right way to start learning Selenium. Right, because usually what people do is people start working and they start writing the Selenium scripts without understanding the concept and the right way. So when I talk about the WebDriver, we have discussed about WebDriver yesterday, right? So the WebDriver is actually going to follow the concept of object-oriented programming. So we'll be taking a little look of object-oriented programming first, that what is the concept of that and how actually the flow goes on it. Okay, so if I'll just go to my Eclipse over here, I'm creating a new module and I'll name it as oops only. Firstly, we'll be taking a look at that how the classes and functions can be made and how they are called. Okay, first we'll be taking a look at that. When we have to create a class in Python, we just need to use a keyword class followed by the name of the class whichever you want to give. I'll like to name it as demo, so I'll name it like this. Okay, and after this, if I want to get some print statement or something, so I can simply just say this is my first class. Okay, now this is the start of my class and this will be the body of my class. The thing that is to be that noted that we need to call this, and to call this class what we need to do is we need to create an object, because outside the body of this class the print statement or if there is a variable or any class that is not visible to the interpreter. So we need to create an object for that. And how do we create an object in Python is simply just just give the name of your class followed by the circular brackets, and that's it. Your object has been created now. You can simply use it. Now if I'll simply save it and I'll run it, so you can see it gives me the print statement, this is my first class. Okay. Inside the class also I can create the functions. I'll show that to you. Before that, we'll see generally how we can create the functions and can run them. Calling functions or classes are absolutely the same. Over here, if I'll just make a function keyword, to create a function, the keyword will be def followed by the name of your function. Okay, so if my function name is, let's say, basic, and then I'll give a print statement inside it and I'll say print this is my first function. One thing is to be noted in Python, that if there is any decision making condition, any loop, any class, function, anything, that all is going to be having a semicolon at the end of it, because Python is very strict about the blank spaces. Even though if right now over here when I'm calling this class and I put an unnecessary space, so it will give me an error. that this is not the space that is required, and it will give me an error, that is indentation error. So you need to make sure that there are no extra spaces and your margin is absolutely right. It will not give you any error. But whenever you will put the colon, it will automatically take an indent of a tab space, and that is not going to give you any error. Over here it did not give you any error. There was a space of almost a tab, right? So there was no error. Where automatic indent is coming, it's fine, but you need to make sure that from your end there is no extra space. Okay. Now I need to call this function, and I'll just will take the name of my function followed by the circular brackets, and I'll call it. You can see it's coming. This is my first function. So this way you can create a general function without making a class to it, a general function. But whenever you have to make a function inside the class, so the same way you will create it, just a little difference will be coming. You will give the keyword def followed by the name. So I'll say basic function. So over here you can see that once I have just put in the parenthesis, it automatically took an keyword self. So this self keyword is an automatic keyword that is going to pop up if you have any class, any function inside a class. This self keyword will help you to access the attributes inside the function, or even though if you have the class variables or another functions as well, this self keyword is going to help you to access them. So you need to have it. If by default it's not coming, so you manually have to write this self if the function is inside the class. Okay. So suppose I'm not right now giving any parameters inside it. I'll simply will take the print statement. This is my class structure. So now my class is ready. This is the body of my class, inside which a function is there and a print statement. I need to call it right now. Okay, I'm commenting these right now. I'll come to the comments in a minute. Just let's complete this topic and then I'll talk about the comments. Okay, now I'll simply will call this. I have already created the object of my class. I'll call it. But over here you can see that there is no output. The reason is that this function is not yet called. I need to call that. And by entering a dot, it will show you all the functions, variables, whatever is inside the class. That all is going to be displayed in this help box. So I need to call this basic function, and I'll save it and I'll run it now. So it's giving me the output. This is my class structure. Okay. Any doubts till this part, creating any class and functions?
Yeah, Pradeep. I do not know what is class, what is functions.
Yes, I'll come to that. Just wanted to know that the definition is clear enough.
Yes.
That how you need to create it, and that's fine.
Yeah, the structure is fine, but I do not know the logic.
No.
What is class?
Yes, I'm coming to that. Just wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when I talk about class is nothing but a block of code inside which I can keep my functions. Function can be a block of code, a set of statements which I want to repeat again and again for a particular function. Okay, I'll show the example as well. And along with the function, I can also have a variable or many variables, you can say. I can have as many as variables I want, and along with that the functions as well. So this box inside which I'm having functions along with each other and the variables, and they are kept inside the class body, this becomes a whole code. But outside this box, neither the functions are going to be visible nor these local variables are going to be visible, which are local to the class. So they'll not be able to visible. They can only be visible only when we'll create an object to this. We need to create an object and then only we can use them, right? If and how we can create an object, we have seen just by giving the name followed by the parenthesis. So now whenever I have to access this block of code in which I have set of statements and along with that the variables which are going to be used, I'll call this demo statement and it will point towards my class. Okay. Likewise, if I'll go over here and instead of basic function, let me just take an example. Let's just take an arithmetic operation and I have two variables, let's say A and B. Okay. Now I have to assign some values to this A. You want to take it from user, that's also possible. You want to predefine them, that is also possible. So I'll say I am predefining right now. I'll use the self attribute because I want to use these parameters now. So I'll say self dot A is equals to A. So what this self dot A is going to do, this is the variable that is going to come that I'll be giving when I'll call this function. Okay. And this will give the value to this self.a so that the value that has been given by the user can be used inside the function. Okay. It will be going like this. I have made a function inside which I am giving blank brackets. Means there is no value, but I have to give that when I'll call the function. So I'll give 6 or 7 or anything. These two values I am giving. So what this self keyword will do is, this self keyword will take this value and put this A in the first value that is given and put this second value that is required in the second one. Okay. This way, if there are another variables that are also going to be assigned the value. Okay. So if I'll complete the function now and I'll say self dot b is equals to b and I'll simply will make a variable total and I'll say a plus b and I like to print it. Print my total. Now over here, if I'll call this function again dot, now you can see I'm getting the variables a and b which are local to this class now. Along with that, I'm getting a function basic functions along with two parameters that I have to give while running it. So I'll give the values, let's say 8 and 2. So this 8 and 2 are going to be assigned in this self.a and self.b, and after that they will give me the total. So if I'll save it and I'll run it, it will give me the output as required. Okay. Any doubts on this?
Can you make like A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, something like that? It has to go
Okay, you want
like
me
that.
to give the values over here?
Yeah, it is possible here.
Yes, absolutely it's possible. You can give the values over here as well. Let's say 25. Then I will not be using this. It totally depends because over here I am directly accessing the self.a. So when I have to add them, I have to use them the same way. Self.a and the same way self.b. And now it will give me the output. The parenthesis will not have any value. I'll save it and I'll run it.
Okay.
Okay. The same way, that is also possible that you can take user input. If I have to take it from user, so I can simply use this command. I have a provision, this input. By using this input function, I can take user input. So I'll say enter number 1. Okay, so whatever will be coming, it will be coming in the string. It will not be an integer, it will be string, so I have to convert it as soon as it comes. Okay, I'll show that to you. Let's just run it again. So over here it's asking me that enter number 1. Okay, and I'll give 25. So it gives me an error that cannot concatenate string to integer. That means my this value is string and this is an integer, so it's not able to concatenate it. So what I will do is I will just keep this thing inside I'll change the data type. This is data type conversion in Python. You just need to give the data type in which you want to change it. Okay. Now if I'll try to run this code, it will again ask me the same thing. I'll say 25, 50. That means this string has been converted to integer, and after that the addition of two variables has been done and the total has been given. Okay. So these two ways you can take user input, whether you want to give it over here from the user or you can pass through the parameters. Okay. Any doubt?
So it is going to create a space for the input, user provider input, or whatever the values we are going to define, like 69. It is going to create a temporary space for the, like in self.a, self.b.
Not actually the space, because over inside the block of code only everything will be available. So as many as space will be reserved, they will be gonna be divided with each of them, with the function, with the variables. They all will be divided in the block of code only. And the same way the
Okay.
memory location will be working as well. Okay. Now the thing is that I have created an object over here this way, right? This is my object creation. Likewise, if I want to run this code again and again, I will do the same thing. By doing this, I have created a second object. I'm not using the same object. I'm creating a new object now. As many as times I'll be writing this type of statement, it will create a new object. So it will become very confusing if I have to make a number of objects. So I won't be able to understand which object is referring to which output of mine. So to do that, what we do is we actually create a reference for this particular object that we are creating. If I'll just take a variable and I'll make it, let's say D. Okay, this is just a variable. What this variable will do is we'll point this variable to this object so that whatever is inside this object gets stored in this is going to refer to this object, and whenever I have to access the object again, I'll call this variable. I'll not call the object directly but the reference to it. Okay, if I'll take it over here and I'll say D is equals to demo. The calling will be same, just that I'll be using this variable now, and I'll say D dot basic function. I'll save it and I'll run it and I'll give some value, let's say 1. So it gives me 26. Okay, this is for the first one, this object. And if I'll talk about the second one, I'll give some another value and the output is going to be same. Just that I'll not be gonna be confused. I can give the reference as D1 to this particular object. Okay. So this is more convenient than creating the objects only. Just create the references to it. Okay. Any doubts in this part?
Can you explain about the object which you said? What is object?
The object over here, this is where the concept of object oriented programming comes up. As I said that outside the block of code over here, this class is not going to be visible. So with the help of object, we can actually access the code inside this block. If I'll show you over here, this is my function, the basic function, right? Now if I want to call this function only, which is inside a class, so the basic function is not going to be available to the interpreter to use. You can see in the help, I'm getting basic functions, but no one is resembling to this basic underscore function. If I'll put underscore as well, so, okay. So you can see there is no basic function. That means this basic function has been hidden inside, and that's why I'm not able to see that. Okay. But when I'll
Okay.
create the object, I'll be able to access this function as I have done over here. Then only I'll be able to see the class attributes inside. Okay.
Okay.
Clear with the
Can we have
others?
a
Yeah.
duplicate objects? I meant to say, you said
Yes.
through object only we will be able to access the function or variables, but can we have a duplicate object with the same name?
Yes, you can have it, but creating the same name object reference will be pointing to the same object if I'll have another object and I'll name it as D only. So there are two different references which are pointing to the same object. That is possible, but that is of no use. That is a possibility that you have another object and that is also having the name. So it will get a confusion that which object needs to be identified. Moreover, it will be having the reference of that only object, but for us, to the computer it's fine because it will be having the address of the object. But for us it will be confusing. Right? If I'll create an same name object, let it be D only. Okay. And over here, let it be like this. And now if I'll run this code, for both, I am having two different objects right now. And I'll run it. Let's say 85. So it's my output. So moreover, I'm having the same output in both. In both the objects, I am having the same output, but using the same named reference, I'll not be able to identify which is the first output and which is the second output. So it's preferably given that you can take the reference name different and not the copy of it. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
There is one more thing that Python provides you. It's a feature that you can have duplicate values. That means you can have a same named variable and you can assign the values as many times as you want. If I'll have a variable a and I assign it 67 at a point of time in the code, and at another time I assign the same variable some another value. So that is possible. It will not give me any error that the duplicate variable is there or it's already existing. That's not going to be given any error. So that's provisioned. But we do not support that. We don't actually take this help because for us it's going to be confusing. The reference changes in the memory, but for us it's not that good. Okay? So this is the concept of object-oriented programming, that if you want to access any of the class, inside the body the variables and functions are visible, but outside the body of the class you need to access it using the object, and to create some difference and creating a reference to your object, you can create an variable which will be referencing. Okay? Clear enough till this part? Okay.
Yes.
So let's move further. This was the right way you can start learning Selenium, because if you don't understand the concept, you might just directly write the Selenium script and you further on gets confused why it's going on, what's the reason. Okay, so now what I need to make you understand is that we have seen yesterday in the class that Selenium automates driver, right? Selenium automates browser. Now to start with the browser, we need to initiate these browsers somewhere, right? They're not automatically going to be initiated. We need to initialize their driver classes, which understands their language to start up. Okay, so if I'll go further, I have number of browsers which we work on: Mozilla, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Edge. Okay, we have a number of browsers. So if I'll scroll down more on the page, on the download page, so you can see this browsers tab. If I'll click on it, you can see that this Firefox, Internet Explorer, all are having different section and different documentations. The reason is just that because every browser has a different driver class. if I'll show that in the API docs as well, over here, this is the whole information about the Selenium. You can go through all the links that are available in the API docs. This will take you to the home page. This will take you the package ones, and where I want to take you is this docs. Okay, not over here, in the this. So these are the common utility functions, packages you can say, which are going to be used in Selenium by the whole course. These are the common utility functions. Action chains are done for the elements to double click or to move some element from some place to some place, change the cursor from the main page to the pop-ups or to any block, any pop-up block that comes up, notifications. For all those, these action classes are used. Then we have proxy. Desired capabilities are going to come in use when we will be working with the grid. So at that time we'll be discussing this part. But right now over here in the Chrome, you can see every browser has its different WebDriver section having different functions with it. So to initiate the browsers, we need to get the driver classes for them. Now we'll be discussing how we'll get the driver classes. If I'll go back to the browsers part only, and let's just start with the common browser, that is Chrome. Let's say go with the Chrome. I'll click on the documentation part, and it will take you to get the executable file of Chrome driver. Okay, we need to download that. But for that, we need to know the version of our Chrome which we are using. So you can check it from these three dots in the help about Chrome. So the version that I am using is 81.0. So according to this version only, I'll be downloading the latest release. This is the Chrome driver. I'll click on it, and it will take me to the next page in which, according to the operating systems and configuration, these zip files are available. So according to your operating system, you can get it downloaded. The Chrome driver for Windows is only available in 32-bit. So that's why we have to get it downloaded. If I'll click on it, the zip file will be downloaded. Okay. If I'll will take you over here. This is the zip file that has been opened, and inside this Chrome driver.executable file, you can see we need to get it extracted and keep it in a single folder. I have kept it in a single folder in my local drive over here. These are all my driver classes. We'll be discussing them one by one. You need not to run this executable file, just we'll be using the path of it. Just keep them in a single folder because it is going to have an advantage to you all. Okay, so when I have to start working with this Chrome driver, how I can do that? I'll go back to my Eclipse and I'll create a new module, Selenium Basics. Okay, the font is visible enough, or shall I increase it?
It's visible.
Okay. So starting before initializing the WebDriver, the Chrome driver, what we need to do is we need to import an interface in our module right now. To import, how we can do that? We'll use the keyword from. This from keyword will specify to the interpreter from which location it has to pick up the library or package to be imported. So I'll say from Selenium. We have already seen the installation of the Selenium, so it will be coming over here after giving from. And this import will tell the interpreter that what actually needs to be imported, which file actually needs to be imported. Okay, so I'll say from Selenium package, I need to get this WebDriver class. This WebDriver class is an interface which is having the almost all the functions which can work with the browsers, and all the browsers can be supported by this WebDriver. If I'll create a function, let's say run Chrome test. And I have to create an object because this is a class. To access this WebDriver, I have to create an object. So I'll create driver is equals to WebDriver dot. So over here when I have clicked dot, it has given me the help box with a number of browsers. I have Chrome, then Edge, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Opera, Safari, and along with that there are some private functions to check the version of this WebDriver, file name, path, everything that is available with the WebDriver. Okay, so right now I'm working with Chrome, so I'll click on Chrome and I have to close it with the pair of parentheses. Now what we need to do is we need to initialize our the driver class. So I'll make a variable path, and in the path I'll give the path of my executable file of Chrome driver. I'll copy it from here. Whenever you are giving some path in Python, you need to make sure it's followed by double backslashes or either by forward slash or single forward slash. If you don't have this syntax of giving path, it might not give you the output as expected. Okay. So right now I have my Chrome driver available over here. I just need to tell my WebDriver to take the path and open my Chrome browser. So I'll say executable path. So this executable path is a variable which is already inside this WebDriver class. So I need not to write it again. I just will directly use it and I'll assign the value of path to this executable path. Okay. By doing this, the WebDriver will go to the Chrome function and it will execute according to the path that I have given. So if I'll just simply run this code and I'll say run chtest, so it will open my browser only. I have not given any URL or something. It will just open the URL. So I'll save it and I'll run it. Python run. So you can see that this is my Chrome browser that has been opened. And it closed after the proper loading of the browser. And the execution got terminated. Okay. Likewise, if I want to give some URL, let's say I want to give some URL. So I'll use the object that I have created, the reference to the object, and I'll just say dot. And as soon as I press dot, the help box appears again with the functions that this WebDriver can do with the Chrome browser. So that is, you can help with the cookies, then you can check the current URL, you can delete the cookies. Then there is the find element. Find element is a topic that we need to discuss because over the web page there are a number of elements available. So we need to extract them and there are a number of ways to get them extracted. There are functions you can see, it's by class name, CSS selector, ID, link text. So we'll be discussing them all in the coming sessions. So I'm not going into much of it. And along with that, then I have the cookie names. I can get the cookie names, screenshots. The thing that I need to use right now is the URL. I need to go to some URL. So I'll use this function get URL. And inside the double quotes, I'll simply will give some URL. So I'll go over here and let's just open a URL. And I'll paste it over here. Okay, now if I'll run this code, it will go to the browser, it will open the browser and will go to the URL that I have specified. Okay, so it opened the browser, it went to google.com and it closed after the execution. Okay, just to see that whether your page has been loaded properly or not, we have a package time. We can get it imported. And using this time, I will put some sleep time so that my program execution stops for some time and then only after it closes. So I'll put the pause of 5 seconds to check for the proper upload of my page. I'll save it and I'll run it again. So my Google is being properly uploading right now. It has done. Now 5 seconds pause will be put and then it will close my browser. Okay, clear enough till this part? Any doubts in this particular function or the topic?
Yeah, so webdriver is a class.
Sorry.
To call that functions in the class, we are having a object reference which is called driver. You
Yeah,
name it, right?
yeah,
To that object, we are trying to call all the function which is there in the webdriver.
yes,
That under my understanding is correct. The
yes,
only the
yes, yes.
only thing is you said the definition run Chrome test is a function. Why we didn't get a self here? Because we didn't create a class directly. That's why.
Yes, because this is a general function, so it will not require any parameter itself. If there is a class over it, then it will ask for a self thing.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. Any other doubts from anyone else? Okay. I expected good to go. We have done with the Chrome like this way. We have seen also that it was not in the maximum window. Chrome is not by default in the maximum window. So we also have the functions like driver dot maximize window. This will open the browser in the maximize window. Just that wherever you are giving this command, at that point only it will maximize. If you'll give it at the very starting when your browser has opened, then it will open your browser in the maximize window. If you'll give it after URL, then it will maximize the window after going to the URL. So it's just that you need to give it at a proper place wherever you want your window to be maximized. Sometimes it also happens that the browser is not properly loaded to get to the URL. So to do that, there is a global wait, that is implicitly wait. What this implicitly wait is going to do, it will give some time for the browser to get it properly loaded, and when it's properly loaded, then it will proceed to the next get URL option. If in the given time the browser is not ready, then only it will provide some exception. Otherwise, it will move further properly. If I'll have the pause of around 5 seconds, so it will give 5 seconds to the browser to open, and then we'll maximize it and the URL will open. But in some case, it hardly happens that in 5 seconds the browser is not ready to use. At that time, after 5 seconds, it will throw you an exception that the browser is not ready or the Chrome is not reachable, anything like that. Okay, so if I'll run it and I'll save it again, I'll save it and I'll run it again. So you can see browser is opening. The 5 seconds will be taken by the browser only to load properly. Okay, so it has maximized my window and then went to the URL. Okay, the 5 seconds wait will be put on and will be closed automatically. So this is how you can start working with the browser. If you have the driver class for that particular browser in your system, you can start working with it. Okay, the same way we have the another browsers over here. If I'll just take you to the Chrome, back to my Selenium official website in the browsers. Now let's just talk about the Firefox. If I'll go to this documentation of Firefox, according to the version of the driver class, this stable version of Selenium has been provided. The Gecko driver is actually the name of the driver class. It's nothing big to be having an issue. Likewise, Chrome driver has identification for Chrome, Gecko driver has for Firefox. Okay, so if you'll scroll down more, in the assets you will find these zip files for your Gecko driver class, and according to the configuration and operating system, you can get your zip file for Gecko driver downloaded. So if I'll click on it, it will start downloading. I already have it, so I will not download it again and again. I'll show that to you over here. The same way we have seen in the Gecko driver. Yeah. So if I'll click on it, inside this I have the executable file for my driver class. I need to get it extracted, and after extraction you can keep it in the same folder where your Chrome driver is lying, like I have done. Okay, after doing that, what changes you have to make in the code in the Eclipse or in the IDE which you're having, you have to create a function like this, or you can simply also run this. There's no issue. I'll save it. I'll just copy it and I'll change the name to Firefox. And over here my path will be changed. It's in the same folder. Just over here the name will be changed. From Chrome driver it will become Gecko driver. Okay. Now over here I have given the path and rest code is same. But now I have not changed the webdriver.chrome. That means I am specifying my Chrome to open. So if I'll just save it and I'll run it without changing the name from Chrome, so it will again open the Chrome only. The reason is because WebDriver is having the notification about the Chrome driver only, Chrome browser only. So if I'm changing the path for my browser, for my driver class, I need to update that to the driver as well, WebDriver. If I'll change it to Firefox, rest code will be the same. And we simply need to run it like we have done with the Chrome. Okay, I don't want this to open again and again, so I'll comment it down. Now if I'll run this code, it says Chrome not reachable, so I'll just terminate the execution and I'll run it again. So over here my browser is opened, my Mozilla browser. It will go to the URL that I have specified after maximizing the window. And after that, the execution is terminated. But by default, our browser does not open. The Mozilla driver does not open automatically. We need to give some command to close it, to avoid the unnecessary browsers to keep on opening after the execution. For that I'll say driver.quit. That's it. After the execution and pause of 5 seconds, the Firefox browser will close automatically using this command. Okay, so if I'll close the browsers which are open already, and now if I'll run it, my browser is opening and it will go to the URL. After 5 seconds it will automatically get closed. You can see. So this way there are few browsers which automatically gets closed and some which are not. So you need to check for that which are not getting closed. You can put this command to close them after execution. Okay. Likewise, we have the Edge and the Internet Explorer as well. So if I'll take a look at that as well, if I'll go back, browser, and I'll take you to the Edge documentation. For Edge documentation over here, you can see that you are getting a number of releases and different versions. So you need to know the version of Edge that you are using right now. So if I'll go to the Edge and check for the version, the same way we have checked the version for Chrome, we'll check the same. And I'll go to the settings in the About Microsoft Edge. So it gives me the information that I have this particular version 81.0.416. Okay, so if I'll go over here, this is the 81 series. So from these I will get the driver class for my Edge. According to the operating system, you can get it downloaded. After clicking on it, it will start downloading the zip file, and you have to extract the executable file out of this and keep it in the same folder over here. This is my driver class for Edge, and I can run the same code without making any changes at two places. I'll run the same code, so I'll save it sorry, I'll copy it and I'll paste it over here. The changes will be over here in the webdriver.h, and we just need to get the name from here, and I'll just will update it over here. Okay, now I'll just will just wait edge, and then I have this over here. I need to comment it, and I'll simply will run edge test. Okay, it's giving me an error. Why is it encountered this in the, okay, there is no function name. def, and I'll run it. It will open my Edge browser and will take me to the URL as the previous outputs, just the browser is being changed. Okay, after 5 seconds my browser will be closed automatically. Then comes our Internet Explorer, which is the 4th most used browser. For the Internet Explorer, we'll not get the driver class from here. It is available on this page only. Over here in the Internet Explorer driver server, you can see the block. From here you will get the driver class for Internet Explorer, and it's available for Windows PC. So according to the configuration only, you can get the zip file and get the executable file extracted and keep it in the same folder. Over here I have kept it. So the same way the code will also be running, no change will be there. I'll save it and I'll run it. Just the changes will be over here in the Internet Explorer and the path. I need to change the name IE, and over here as well IE. I'll save it and will comment this to show you the output of Internet Explorer only. I'll save it and I'll run it. So you have seen that the output is coming actually the same, just the different browsers are there. So that means our WebDriver interface is applicable on all the browsers that we have used till now. There are two more browsers, that is the Safari and the Opera. We do not prefer using the Safari and Opera because they are not that stable and all the commands of WebDriver does not work on it properly. So we do not prefer working with both these. We do prefer working with the rest 4, and they are the commonly used ones. So you can try working with all 4 and get your codes ready. Okay. You must have been a question in your mind that do we have to give this path again and again? So the answer to this question is actually no, you don't need to do that. I'll tell you why the answer is no. Before that, there is one more way how you can initialize your driver classes. For that, what you need to do is you need to use the another package. And the another package that we have is the OS. Inside that also the WebDriver functions are available, but not that much. If I'll import it, and then I'll use the variable environ. Inside this I'll specify that which browser I need to contact with. In the double quotes I'll say webdriver.ie.driver. By this line I'm specifying that I need to get in touch with the WebDriver function or the Internet Explorer function. Okay, and whichever path I have specified in the path variable, I'll give that to this particular statement. Now I'll not be using this particular thing. I'll remove it and I'll save it. No change in the output, just the way is different of giving the WebDriver class. So you see the output is actually the same, just the way is different. And as I said that the answer to the question that do I have to do that again and again is no. Because what you can do is you can just keep these driver classes in your environment variables in your system. At one go, if you're having it in a single folder, you can just keep the whole folder. Whichever browser you will be using, it will automatically pick the executable file and open that particular browser for you. Okay, so if I'll have to do that, what I can do is I'll go to my environment variables. Over here, if I have to add it, so I'll just will go into the system variables, new, give the name which you can identify later on as well when you have to work with it. So you can give it as WebDriver. And I have it in a single folder, so I'll go to the directory part, and from here only I'll pick the directory directly. This is my directory. I'll OK it, and all my code will be available now. All my driver classes will be available in the environment variables. I already have done it, so I'll not click on OK. It will be a repetition. And if I'll show you, I have it in the path variable. I'll show that to you over here. Okay, so this way you can add all your driver classes in the environment variables. The thing is suggested that after adding it into the environment variables, just restart your PC to apply the changes as well. Okay, so if I'll close it now and I'll run this code without giving the path of the driver classes, without specifying it. So let's see what the output comes to be. So it's actually the same output. There is no difference in the output. It opened the URL and it automatically closed after that time. Okay, the same way you can work with the rest 4 as well. Any doubts in this part or in the driver class part? Okay, I expect there is no doubt.
Can you tell me what is the difference between implicitly time and time dot sleep? I understand implicitly dot underscore wait
Yeah.
will wait till the page get loads.
Yeah. The
Okay, and
time,
then
okay, I'll tell you that. Implicitly wait is not actually going to wait for proper 5 seconds. What it will do is it is the maximum time to wait. It will let the browser open. If the browser is opened at the second in the third second as well, it will proceed with the next code. It will go to the URL on the third second only. But if I'll put the time.sleep when my browser is opening, so it will stop my execution for 5 seconds, and once my 5 seconds are over, or whatever time I have given it's over, then only it will proceed to the next command that I have given. Even if it's maximize window, it will do after the time that I have given in the sleep time. Okay.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any others doubt from the rest of the candidates?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So I expected good to go. I'll rest the class by these topics only, and I'll request you guys to please do practice these things, because these is the basic of Selenium that we have started. So once you will do it, you can understand the commands which are ahead it. I have shown you the help box. You can also go through them. You can read this documentation part and you can understand the things that what are going inside. Okay, so you can do that as well. So do try to practice it, and we'll cover the next topics in the next class. Okay, so do practice. And
So how,
yeah,
Did we configure Selenium with Eclipse yesterday? We installed
yeah,
to the command prompt.
Hmm.
Do we need to configure in Eclipse?
No, we need not to configure it. We just have to get that plugin that I have given the plugin with you. You just need to give that plugin and you're good to go with the Python.
Okay, till last time I did pip install Selenium. That is what I do, the command prompt.
Yes.
After
You
that,
need
something configuration need to be done.
No, you need not to configure it. Just that whenever you want to use that Selenium part, you need to import it in your module, whichever you are using. That's it. You need not to do any configuration. Okay? Yeah.
Mhm.
And how do I get the code, whatever you are getting all these things?
That's available in the batch recording. If you'll download the code from there, that's available over here. Okay?
Yeah.
Any other thing you want to ask? Okay, then I'll rest the
From my
class.
end, yeah.
Yeah, I'll rest the class. So do practice and thank you. I'll see you in the next class.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.